Yeah, this is gearing up to be a very exciting season opener. 32 cars on grid. We have mixed skill levels up and down the field, which means there's going to be races all over the place. This is going to be a welcomed start to our season. Yeah, most definitely. I know we've got a couple drivers from the previous season who are gearing up just a few races away from hitting that sweet, sweet 2K. As you mentioned, we do have some pros just joining us as pro drivers. They're looking for a little bit more competition and, still honing in their skills, learning some new things here and there. And as we expected, two of our usuals, Louis Sampaio and Kevin Cohen in P2 and P3, but our newest pro driver to join the grid, Justin Manchurgi. I'm probably saying that wrong, so go ahead and let me know after these races. But provisional pole at the moment for Justin with a 131.4. That is flying. With that being said, our top 10 is within a second of each other. So we're still looking at some very close qualifying times. This is still anybody's game on this last lap. Jeremy Melton bumping up the order. He was in P10 there for just a second. Looks like P11 is where he's going to stop. Taking a look at the weather just briefly, so we actually have a pretty relaxed and comfortable day here at Indianapolis. 79-degree track temps. Definitely a little bit of cloud coverage here, but humidity is high at 71%. So it's going to be some interesting track conditions for these guys to drive through, especially as that last 5 minutes starts to tick down. Yeah, well said. That is an extremely good point to bring up. Meanwhile, everybody's trying to learn to really figure out their fundamentals, improve their skills. We got a drop, we got a bomb dropped on us, and we have to learn basically an entirely new car. And for some, with the new Mustang, for sure, an entirely new car. Here we go. Our starting grid. Once again, Justin Manchurhi. Is that I believe that's the correct way to say it. In P1, followed by Luis Sampaio in P2, Kevin Cohen in P3, Joe Barata in P4, Stephen James in P5, the rock star, as we all know, Eddie Edilberto Montalvo in P6, Nick Drux in P7, Christopher Gardner in P8, Angelo Bovino in P9, and Dan Fuqua in P10. Absolutely. That top 10 is up for grabs. I don't think we've got a favorite for this. Who knows what happens next? This is going to be a very interesting start of the race. Like you mentioned with those cold tires, and it's taken a couple laps to warm up. We're hoping to not see too much drama, especially into turn one. Lots of patience from all these drivers, I'm sure, coming our way. Just trying to make it, into the first couple laps. And Justin's off, taking that green flag nice and early at the apex of that last corner. A little bit of argy bargy there at the apex of T1. Justin going a little bit wide, and Kevin's right there, already applying the pressure. That looks like our new Mustang driver, Alex Lo-Fi. Those two came together. Looks like Kevin hitting the wall on exit of that corner there. That's going to bring Lewis right into his draft. This is about to get pretty interesting. It looks like we have Matthew Farron coming up alongside Dan Fuqua fighting for that P10 position, just not quite far enough ahead. The question now, Biggs, does Lewis have anything to answer to those lap times? We've seen some 31s from him already tonight in practice and in qualifying, so can he either match or beat Justin's lap times and try to catch up a little bit? And that looks like a very banged up car. The front end of that Cayman is not looking very hot at the moment. These guys are looking pretty calm, cool, and collected. It almost seems like they're waiting for their opportunity. They don't want to push their luck too early here. It looked like Fuqua took a little bit of a peek there, but came right back into that slipstream, keeping it cool for now.
Bria, is he going to look to the inside? He does look into the inside. They give each other room. Calabria maintains the position, but that was a solid look there by Farron. See what else we have going on here. The battle for 19th is heating up between Jeremy Melton and Jacob Green and Franklin. They're all running side by side. Farron does make the pass onto Calabria and is able to make that stick. And Calabria now has Dan Fuqua right on his tail. And oh, they almost touched. Steve Hill is going to get behind too, or get ahead of Dan, as Nicholas Cox is also able to get past him. The BMW losing some time there. The Porsche is a quick car on Indy, that's for sure. But they're going to come into turn 12 with some new determination.
Absolutely. I mean, the Porsche is looking very, very strong this week. I think where a lot of the lap time's coming from, especially, is these big V8 cars are just really struggling to put the power down this last corner.
Absolutely. The Porsche, known for being very nimble, but did get a top speed buff, and it is showing. We just had James Candle pass Vaibhav Narayanaswamy. That was a very nice pass by him. Vaibhav now has Jeremy Toast about a tenth ahead of him. The battle for P3 is still very, very close. These guys are not only fighting for the podium overall, but for the AM lead in race 1. As nothing going turn 7, but Steven does go wide, and they're going to go into the S's side by side. They're both slowing down, trying not to crash. That is going to allow Nick Drux to come right up behind him, and Joe Beretta goes wide on the exit. That is going to let Steven and Nick through, and Angelo. Oh man, that is one place where going side by side, especially in these GT4, is a very, very tough, very tough maneuver.
Absolutely. That is, it's a tricky corner to begin with, and it's kind of a one-line commitment through there as well. So that takes a lot of cooperation from both drivers to make that work.
Yeah, so Joe losing 3 places, or probably only 2, but he also lost about a second and a half. So Steven is going to take P3. Behind him, Nick Drux in the Mustang, and then behind him, Angelo Bovino, and then finally Joe Beretta.
Taking a look farther down the grid in P13 with Dan Fuqua, we have James Campbell starting to put the pressure on him. Looks like Dan's starting to really struggle at this halfway point in the race.
Yeah, Dan actually might have some damage looking at his last lap. He has or got into an accident or something. He ran a run 40.8 last lap, which indicates something did go wrong. The pack that he was in has driven ahead of him, so we will see whether Dan can recover. But yeah, I mean, no matter where you are on the grid, you're going to come up. You're going to come up with some competition here. Jeremy Melton and Jeremy Tost, the 2 Jeremys going into turn 7 side by side, and now they're going to enter the S's. With Jeremy Tost, or Toste, I believe he told us how to pronounce it. I believe it's Toste. He is going to get past Jeremy Melton for 17th place.
Now he does have damage on the front of that car, so with Melton having a little bit of the slipstream, I'm expecting a little bit more battling coming onto this next lap.
Agreed, and Nick Drux has passed Stephen James for 3rd place. Meanwhile, we've got Justin with a 3.5 second lead over Luis, and all of that fighting between P3 through 6 has let Luis build in a 5-second gap to Nick Drux and the rest of the race drivers. So we see that a lot where, battling will slow you down. It's nice when cars behind you battle, then you can just drive away, and that seems to have happened.
Yeah, Justin have an open track here. I don't even think he's coming up on back markers anytime soon, so he's on a bit of an island here. The same kind of goes with Luis Sampaio as well. Now, taking a look at our top 9 AM drivers, I believe these guys are separated only 5 seconds, which halfway through this,
Wow.
past more than half through this race. That is impressive.
We have a rear end on turn 12, Stephen James, and he is going to lose a ton of positions. Yeah, coming into that hard braking zone. Unfortunately made contact with the car behind him, and he is going to lose. He's going to go down to P6. A very unfortunate accident there. That is going to leave Nick Drux pretty much on his own now, and he is going to take a very solid gap into P3. Right now we've got Joe Beretta, Angelo Pavino, and Kevin Cohen, who is a couple laps behind after his meatball. But obviously he's fast enough to be in the group, so he will likely stay there and maybe make things a little spicy.
Now, taking a look at our next closest battle on track, we have Steve Hill, Patrick Dunham, and Nicholas Cox all fighting for P10 here.
Ooh. Yes, they are. They're going to go around turn 4 into turn 5 here, and let's see if any of them get a good enough exit to make something happen into C7.
Hill looking very strong on the exit of that T4 corner, and that's what it takes to keep that gap you know, from closing coming down the middle of the track straight. Excuse me.
Absolutely. All of these cars are in each other's draft as well. They're going to go around turn 10 here, and the next hard-braking zone will be at turn 12. So let's see whether anybody is able to make something happen.
That gap has closed. It looks like Dunham's a little bit faster in that sector 4 area.
Yeah, and he is gaining onto the back straight, onto Steve Hill, and we'll see whether something can happen going into the first turn here.
Right in front of them, we do have Matthew Farron as well. It looks like he might have dropped back a position or two. He's now behind Greg Calabria. Yeah, Greg Calabria. I'm still figuring everybody's names out. Thanks.
Yeah, we have about a snake of 5 cars here. The front of those being Greg Calabria, and they're going to head through turns 5 and 6, and let's see if anybody makes a run onto turn 7.
Everybody's still looking pretty calm, pretty cool. We have 5 minutes to go, so there's definitely still opportunities on the table. I think everybody's playing playing the long game here.
Absolutely. Should also be mentioned that, CTD has been running 20-minute races for the entirety of its existence, but the fixed official session also just switched to 20 minutes from 15, so now it's, we should say, more realistic. We have a battle for 15th between Christopher Gardner and James Campbell. I believe Christopher Gardner just made the pass going into turn 12, and he will try to make it stick going through that final corner into turn 1.
Now, I do have to ask, what are the chances that we inspired that 20-minute change for the fixed officials?
At least 100%.
That's what we'd like to think, right?
Yeah. I mean, they watch us. Everybody watches us. I mean, you know what it is. We can't walk around without, batting off fans. We need security. So,
right.
They've
right.
definitely been watching, because who hasn't been watching and have seen the superiority of our system.
Before you know it, we'll be a branch of iRacing itself.
They got to offer us more money. Their last offer was simply not high enough.
That offer might as well have been 0. Meanwhile, we have Matthew Farron making that pass stick again on Greg Calabria, coming into the S's here, and now under attack by Steve Hill.
Yeah, Calabria came under attack right away from Steve Hill, and he is going to try to keep that position. Another thing that's developing as we head into what will likely be our second to last lap of the session is Joe Beretta has caught Nick Drux. There is some traffic with some back markers, so depending on who is able to navigate the traffic, gaps become more closable, and Joe Beretta is pretty much caught up to Nick Drux as they both pass Isaac on the back end here.
This is a battle definitely looking to heat up a little bit. That Mustang, it's hard to say if it struggles on those long runs, but I would imagine those tires are definitely starting to feel a little bit of the heat.
Yeah, and this is, for a lot of people, it might be just their first league race. Maybe that's leading them to overdrive the car. Between these 15 to 20 minutes are when tires are really going to start to heat up and become a little bit more unwieldy. So, maybe Joe has been able to keep his tires going. Joe is also in the Porsche. Nick Drux is our third place in the Mustang. You had a battle between Jeremy Toste and Franklin as they go side by side through the S's. Jeremy is able to keep his position, but yeah, they looked for a move coming into turn 7, was able to make it happen.
Well done. That is a very difficult part of the track to make passes happen. Once again, like we said earlier, a lot of cooperation is required there. So, hats off to those guys.
Yeah. Meanwhile, our battle for third is heating up. Joe Beretta, once again, has his last lap was quicker than Nick Drux. And I believe we are on the white flag for our first race. Actually, are we? We might have one more. We will see. No, I believe we will have one more lap. My apologies. Meanwhile, Stephen James and Angelo Bovino getting very, very close to each other there. Stephen James has actually taken the place from Angelo. Angelo going wide on on turn 6, and that allowed him to be caught.
That battle between Nick Drux and Joe Barata still heating up. We are now on our white flag last lap, so these guys have one more to duke it out.
And yeah, we will stay on board with Nick Drux and Joe Beretta as they fight for the podium. Mustang versus Porsche, or Ford versus Porsche, Mustang versus Cayman, Am versus Am. Ooh, Nick Drux going a little unwieldy through turn 1 and turn 2. And that is going to allow Joe Beretta to close the gap even further. They're only 1 or 2 tenths apart from each other. Is that Mustang struggling?
A pretty good exit out of turn 4. It looks like Joe just was a little bit slow to get back on throttle there.
Yeah.
So that gives Nick just that extra bit of breathing room coming down the middle straight.
That was actually huge. There's a huge difference between 2 and 5 tenths. Joe Beretta able to close the distance coming into turn 7. Now he's back within 3. They're going to go through the S's, which are, you need good rotation, you need good braking in order to make this happen. So it might come down to the final corner here. As these two fight, Justin Mancherhi has navigated the final corner and is going to take our race win for CTD Season 6, Race 1. Luis Sampaio, a couple seconds behind. Nick Drux and Joe Beretta are so close to each other, but it looks like Nick will keep the position, doesn't go into the wall, and he will take the final podium place and the victory for our AM class.
Congratulations to both of our winners for both classes there. That was a very close fight.
Very, very nicely done. We'll see. It is a little bit of a CTD tradition to wreck your car at the end. Let's see if what happens.
On board with Angela Bovino, cutting all 3 first corners of our track, winding up in the barrier all the way on the exit. So,
yes.
a nice job to him there. As our remaining drivers cross the line, we have Justin Mancheri in P1 for our pro class, followed by Luis Sampaio and Nicholas Cox, respectively. Nick Drux in P1, followed by Joe Barata and Stephen James, respectively. Our top 15 finish. A little bit of a gap there, but there was a lot of fighting, a lot of battles between all these drivers, so it's not too much of a surprise to see some of those gaps develop.
Not at all. What a great first race. 32 drivers, all of them did a really, really good job, and we are looking forward to race 2.
As we transition over to our second race, bear with us and we'll be right back. And we are back for race 2. It's going to be another interesting race, I'm sure. Race 1 left us just wanting more. Thankfully, not a lot of drama, just a lot of good racing. Shout out to all those drivers. They put on a really good show.
Absolutely. We had a very close battle for the podium. Um, Definitely, things are going to be very shaken up this year. We last season we had mainly 2 or 3 guys just fighting um, for the top, but we have a lot of really strong racing going on now.
Absolutely. Although we have a big difference in skill, you might say. We have some very brand new drivers and we have some very seasoned drivers. With this big of a grid, we've pretty much just duplicated or even tripled all those skills. So somebody sometimes might have 3 people to race instead of 1. It's a nice little shakeup.
It is, and we saw battles going on all over the place. If we were an octopus, we'd be able to follow them all at once. But on our timing screen, we saw every lap had passes or incidents or something. It was a very strong race one.
I'm sure a lot of these guys are coming into race 2 looking for a little bit of redemption, maybe another couple positions, or maybe they want to make sure that their qualifying performance is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit higher up the grid, really change up our starting order.
It is. We have 3 minutes to go until quali. Once again, we are doing a closed quali this season because we do have so many drivers, and on tracks like this, which aren't that big, it would be a mess.
We definitely like to keep drivers on their toes, but that one just felt maybe a little too far.
Cruel, even.
The more we talk about it, the more I'm starting to really like the idea of surprising them with maybe an open quality towards the end of the season.
Well, you just ruined the surprise.
Who will know which race we're going to do it? We will see.
Yeah, it'll be a hidden bonus for those who actually watch the broadcast.
Yeah, very true.
So a couple questions going into race 2. First, can anybody challenge Justin? Luis actually did a great job of keeping pace with Justin, who was just quicker. Um, and Justin running around the 3.1K I rating is a very strong driver. So Luis, as somebody who is a more recent grad at the 2K mark, for him to stay within Justin's reach was very impressive.
So I want to add on to that. By the time there was a gap and Lewis had gotten around that P2 driver, when Lewis took over P2, that gap to Justin was already 2.2 seconds. So
Yes.
Lewis actually managed to hold or only lose about 9/10 over that. What is it, 18 or so minutes? So we might see a challenger for race 2.
I certainly hope so. I'm sure Justin hopes so too. Justin's was a couple tenths ahead in qualifying last race this time, and he was a couple tenths ahead in race pace too until Luis got speed. So
Now I know you had some other questions. Let's hear number 2.
who's going to win our AM? AM was very close with Joe Beretta and Nick Droopt coming in, finishing only a couple tenths in front of each other. So the question is, and not only that, but that was just how it ended up. I mean, Stephen James was with them the whole time. Angelo Bavino was with them the whole time. Um, Kevin Cohen is hopefully going to still be in the mix as well. Like, we have a very strong battle for that top AM position, and I'm very curious to see who comes out on top this time around. As our practice session is ending, we are going to head into qualifying.
So I do unfortunately have to let everybody know Louis Sampaio will not be making race 2. Looks like Justin might be in a field of his own for our second race here.
He does have to skip the next race. That is too bad. We do have Howard Ding joining us this time around, which is very nice. A graduate of ours as well. And it does seem like we have a pretty have a very sizable turnout for race 2.
Absolutely, another 30 plus car field, I believe.
Yes. So track conditions are going to be around the same. Actually, right now the track condition is higher. So for qualifying, looks like the track temp is in the 90s, whereas last race was in the 70s. So let's see whether a little bit of a hotter track is going to make any difference. So once again, take this time to talk a little bit about the tire model. So the first thing is that the tires come out ice cold. And the GT4 already doesn't have a lot of downforce. Like compared to the GT3, for example, the GT4 really lacks downforce. Um, so controlling the car on slow tires on a hot track is already going to be a huge challenge. In official races, you only get the outlap and then 2 qualifying laps. So what that means is that first outlap, your tires are very cold. Your second lap, your tires are getting up to temperature, but still around a second slower. And then that third lap is their push lap, and that's where we will see drivers put in what is their fastest 1 lap pace. So this time around, we have 4 laps in our closed quali. So we're not putting all of the pressure on the drivers to put in a really good lap for their only push lap. They're going to get 3 push laps. The tires will get up to temperature even more as the laps go on. So yeah, we'll see who manages their tires well. Even putting in banker laps is going to be important. And yeah, the tire model has really shaken things up. They drive differently. You really have to drive well. Part of the reason we teach the GT4 is because there's no get out of jail free card. There's no sort of catch up mechanic. Like if you make a mistake, you will lose time every time without fail. There's no way to just sort of like get around that. So if you get good at the GT4, that means you're a very consistent driver. You're a very fundamentally sound driver. And you're able to work with a car that is going fast with very little aerodynamic downforce. So our drivers are still heading in their first laps here. We're going to see how they do. But yeah, just to sort of keep in mind that the GT4 class is a lot more difficult and it's a little bit faster with a little bit less grip. So the fact that our drivers are going to be putting in fast laps is already a testament to what they're able to do.
Absolutely. That was so well said. I don't think I would add anything to that. Riding on board with Justin Manchuri for his first real flying lap outside of his cold tires.
Already putting in a 32 flat on his cold tire lap. That is so fast compared to everybody else.
Yeah, talk about a banker lap in 91-degree track temps. That is cooking.
We have a very strong driver in Justin. That is for sure. We will see if anybody can catch him. It will be a tall task.
Now, last season we did see Catter Price really keep up with Lewis and Josh King, our overall championship winner. Now, with Lewis keeping up with Justin here for race 1, I'm wondering if Carter is going to make a little bit of a surprise qualifying, wind up maybe P1, P2, and really give Justin a run for his money.
That would be ideal. Carter is a very quick driver. He's also a pretty good qualifier as well. Very unlucky driver when it comes to racing sometimes, but I think the most egregious incidents we've seen he has been the recipient of somebody else's um, maybe exuberance. So
Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately so.
I'm really curious to see how this shapes up. We already have Angela right now in P2. Um, Carter is a lot higher. Carter puts in a 32.3. That's going to bring him up to P3 as Justin puts in a 31.5, and that is just blazing.
Now we still have about 5 minutes left for these drivers to get another 2 laps in. It will not surprise me at all if we see this top 10 order switch up again.
Yeah, we will see. This is now, I believe, the final lap for most of these drivers. Justin with about a half a second lead right now over the field. Angelo, Kevin, Nick Cox. Nick Cox is I believe, multiple race winner in CTD. Also a graduate, very strong driver. And yeah, Cotter Price, Stephen James, Nick Drux, Christopher Gardner, Jeremy Melton, and Dan Fuqua putting in some very, very strong laps. Other drivers putting in at least below a 33. We have Vibhab, Narawana, Smarmy. We have Malik Alahwal as well, who are putting in some very, very strong laps. There is going to be our mid pack and sort of back of the pack is also very, very close. Um, yeah, these are really close. Um,
It looks like
Kevin Cohen, oh, Kevin Cohen missing out on pole by what looks to be 300ths of a second.
I believe it's even less. Nope, no, you're right. I'm looking at the wrong decimal
Oh,
position.
no, actually, yeah, I do believe it's less. It's actually 15 thousandths of a second. 555 versus a 559. That is close. And hey, we might see some competition for Justin this race.
On top of that, like you had said before, Angelo Bovino right there, less than 4 tenths behind both of these guys.
Angelo, somebody who we expect to graduate soon, is showing his pace. Wow, yeah, that Kevin Cohen lap, man, that is going to put some pressure on Justin. So hopefully he gets a good start and they're able to battle.
Checking in with James Campbell on a flyer, 1.5 seconds up. Does he go any faster, any higher up the grid? That's going to net him a P22 from the looks of it. We also have Patrick Dunham, a 6.4 seconds up on his previous best and currently P13. Is it good enough to break the top 10?
It's a really good question. One of the things I'm noticing is Joe Beretta um, was not able to put in qualifying laps. So he is going to start at the very back after coming in P4, a very, very close P4 overall and P2 AM um, last race. So we're going to see whether he can make a charge. I say that, and Joe Beretta has finished his lap and has now gone up to P12. Justin putting in a 31.3. So he is able to go a couple times faster. Um, Stephen James up to P3, Angelo P4, Jeremy Melton P5, and Nick Cox still on the lap. Actually, no, Nick is done. But yeah, we are just about done with our qualifying. We have a minute left overall, and we still have people on their fourth flying lap, and we're going to see how they do.
Howard Ding making his reappearance in the Aston Martin tonight. That's going to be an interesting, I think, relatively fresh car for him. I don't think he's very seasoned in that one compared to the Cayman.
No, Howard typically will roll a dice and then drive that car. Last car he had to drive the last season he had to drive the Normie Porsche and he wasn't happy about that. This time he's in the Aston, one of the few Aston drivers out there right now. So yeah, we're going to see how prepared he is to drive it.
So it looks like we do have 4 of our 5 graduates making it into the top 10 for qualifying. Howard, like we were talking about, just struggling a little bit with that pretty fresh car to him. Our AM field stacked for race 2 as we expected. Taking a look at our starting grid, once again, congratulations to Justin Manchuri for that P1 position, followed by Kevin Cohen in P2, Stephen James and Angelo Bovino in P3 and P4, Jeremy Melton in P5, Nicholas Cox in P6, Catter Price in P7, Christopher Gardner in P8, Nick Drux back in 9th place, so we'll see if he can make up some positions on this race start, and Greg Calabria in P10. That'll be our top 10 starting grid.
This is going to be a good one. I'm very, very excited for this race. What do you think is going to happen, Aaron?
I think we're in for a little bit of a surprise this race. I think Justin's got a bit of a battle on his hands. I think we're going to see some interesting shakeups in our AM class here. Hopefully not too much drama.
I'm looking forward to see whether we have the same battle for the AM win as we did previously. That ended up being only a couple tenths. We've got Stephen James, Angelo Bovino, Carter Price, Nick Drux, and Gray Calabria. Oh, it's Christopher Gardner as well, actually, placing very, very high. So we've got a lot of strong AM drivers in the top 10. We also have the Rockstar starting in the back. So we're going to see if he's able to make a run through.
Now, I know he had a very relaxed season during Season 5 for us. He was very focused on helping CTD get a little bit more professional. Our graphics have definitely skyrocketed since he's focused on that, but that comes at a cost. He did not get to race very often, so this is his comeback drive.
Very, very much so. But the broadcast looks great. You know, we broadcast to millions of people every time we race, so it was a good thing. Now we're looking professional. And the pace car has taken off, and Justin and Kevin side by side through turn 7 or turn 9.
One of them.
Yes. So one thing to note is we do short pace laps at CTD, which is going to mean that the tires are a little bit colder on that first lap than they would usually. Last race, we saw Justin go pretty much as soon as he could. Was able to take the lead and hold on to it. We will see whether the same thing will happen.
And we see a similar start again. Justin off in the final corner. Stephen James getting right up on the inside of Kevin Cohen, and we've got a drag race to T1.
They're going to go side by side into turn 1. Kevin taking a little bit of a lead. We'll see if he's able to take it. Very nicely done by Kevin Cohen.
And those guys so close, bumper to bumper.
Yeah, everybody is very, very close going into turn 1.
And Carter,
so far,
Price,
so
Angelo Bovino, they collect each other into turn 3. Those guys will have a recovery drive headed their way.
They do, but I don't think any of them have damaged cars, but that is a bummer for both of them. They were 2 guys that we were really hoping would be up at the top of our standings. But that seems to be the only incident that we had coming through um, turn one. So we'll see whether anything else gets to happen here. We do have 3 people going into turn 7 side by side, and we do have another accident on T7. That was who was that? Michael Cherry, unfortunately, spinning out.
Looks like Matthew Farron taking advantage of all the chaos. He finds himself in the lead of that pack, albeit with a little bit of front bumper damage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It doesn't seem like we had any sort of huge meatball incidents on that first lap, but definitely some unfortunate ones.
Looks like we do have one meatball on the grid. Dave Wilson dropping all the way back to P32.
Meanwhile, Justin has taken about a second and a half lead over Kevin. It might be that Justin is just a cold tire king. He understands the new tire model very, very well, and he has just really put in strong cold tire laps as Joe Beretta and Dan Fuqua all the way through turn one. We have a very, very tight mid-pack group right now.
While all of that was happening, it looks like we did have 3 of our top AM drivers lose it in the final corner. That's Matthew Farron, Stephen James, and Greg
Oh, no.
Calabria.
Synchronized spinning, that's going to put Jeremy Melton up to P3. And then we have Nick, Nicholas, Greg, and Christopher. And then, yeah, I mean, everybody is within about a second of each other here.
Justin out in front. He has a second of a gap, but Kevin still is within that draft zone. If he can keep that that matched pace, he can slowly start to claw back some of that gap.
And we have Christopher Gardner, who made a mistake on the exit of turn 12 there, and that is going to cost him a few positions. Meanwhile, our drivers in the back that made through. Stephen James with a meatball. Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah, that had something to do with that that 3-car spin in that final turn, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Another driver who did a very, very good job last race.
Keeping an eye on our mid-pack battle here, we actually have 6 drivers all competing for that P6 position, all within about a second and a half, 2 seconds to each other. I think their race is about to get very interesting in the next couple of laps.
I do. I agree with you. I think it's going to get very, very tight. A couple other things to point out. Kevin Cohen is still in the draft of Justin, so Justin has not been able to leave him behind. Actually, Kevin's last lap was 0.5 faster than Justin's, so Justin's got a battle on his hand. Kevin is a very strong driver. We've seen it time and time again.
When that guy's confident and he's comfortable in the car, it's very, very difficult to beat him. He is one of the top drivers when he's in his zone.
Yes, he is. Meanwhile, we still have our battle for P5, actually. Nicholas Cox leads Greg Calabrera, Joe Beretta, Dan Fuqua, and Vaibhav Narayanaswamy.
Looks like
to see if there are other battles going on, yeah.
Christopher Gardner is at the very tail end of that pack, and it looks like Joe Beretta sends it up the inside into T1, gets the pass done on Greg Calabria.
Oh, that was very nice by Joe. Joe is up 6 positions from the start.
And Greg sends it right back to him into T4. These guys are looking for a fight.
Look at that. That was gorgeous. We're going to see them come up to T7. And yeah, it's hard to believe that any of that they're going to stop battling with each other.
Like we said at our previous race as well, the more these guys fight, the bigger that gap grows to the cars ahead, and the closer the cars behind get.
Absolutely. Looks like Justin has been able to build up a couple seconds to Kevin. Um, Looking very, very strong. We have Nick Drux catching Jeremy Melton for P3. And then we have this battle between Greg Calabria and Joe Barada. And Dan Fuqua is right on their tail. And Greg goes wide into turn 12. Joe Barada makes his way through and is going to get a very nice exit onto the front straight. And now Greg Calabria is going to be under attack from Dan Fuqua and Vayabhab Swami.
We're going to be 3 wide going into T1. These guys are out of their minds.
Oh my god, they're so close to each other. And are they able to navigate this? Swami is able.
Oh my goodness. A 2-for-1 from Vibe.
Very, very nice.
And Greg again coming back into T4.
This is a battle coming through. Vibe losing speed, and that's going to let Dan pass him. And now Christopher Gardner is right there. He's going to send it up the inside and get the position. Oh, man. These guys are not letting each other have anything.
These guys are putting on quite the show. They're getting very close, bumper to bumper, door to door. We're looking at wheel to wheel, leaving inches between these cars. These guys are on it tonight.
And very, very fair driving as well. This has been, respectful but hard racing. As they do come together, Dan Fuqua is going to take the position from Greg Calabria, who is now defending into turn 14, but it looks like Dan had a bad exit, and they're going to go side by side. They touch, and that is going to slow down Greg Calabria significantly, and he is going to drop all the way back to behind that pack. They're going to go side by side. Christopher Gardner and Vahib Narayamaswamy are going to go side by side, even 3 wide into this turn 1.
Vibe yet again making it stick in the braking zone. Looks like Christopher Gardner a little bit wide there. Greg a little bit wide into T2. And that brings Patrick Dunham right into the show.
Yeah. Welcome Patrick Dunham to this 5-man battle. Joe Beretta, I would say the massive benefactor of this. He is now 5 seconds ahead, so he has just left the pack behind. We are going to go 3 wide down the mid straight.
Patrick coming out on top. Those were free positions
confident.
for him. Just drove right through the middle of this pack.
Absolutely. That was an excellent, excellent bit of driving from Patrick Dunham. And welcome Franklin, Lindenberg, Guimares to the battle, and he is going to be bringing up right behind Christopher Gardner. Just going to call him Franklin for now. Meanwhile, Angelo Bovino has worked his way back up into 13th. He is he's also going pretty fast. He will likely catch these guys as well.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. From basically last place all the way up to P13, and now catching our fight for, what is it now, P7? That's an impressive drive from him for sure.
Unfortunately, we do have Carter Price with a meatball. His comeback drive, unfortunately, has been cut short. So looking back, there was actually a crash through turn 12. Looks like somebody spun out. 2 cars had nowhere to go, and that was just a unfortunate set of events for Carter Price. Is one of the more unlucky drivers that we have here. So, anyways, back to our battle for 7th, which is not going anywhere, that's for sure. Dan Fuqua and Vaibhav Narawanaswamy are battling for P7. Behind them, Patrick Dunham, Greg Calabria, Christopher Gardner, and Franklin Lindenberg Guimares. Oh, side by side into turn 12. They are going to really go side by side into 13 as well. Patrick's right behind him.
If Patrick plays his cards right, he might be looking at another 2-for-1 special coming into T1 here.
Absolutely, especially if they touch here. One hits the wall. Dan has to save the car from hitting the wall, and that is going to put him under attack from Patrick.
Patrick peeking out, trying to follow the vibe, tucks back in, being nice and patient, pulls out again.
Narawanaswamy through, and we have 5 people in turn 1 right now.
That is 6 cars, almost 7, with Angelo tailing just a half of a second behind.
Yeah. This is anybody's P7. That is for sure.
I think we've seen more position changes in this middle pack here than any other race we've broadcasted so far. This is so exciting for a season opener.
Absolutely. They are all just racing each other so hard. Nothing's unfair. It's all very above board. But Dan Fuqua is going to go inside of Vaibhav Narawanaswamy and get the position. Very nicely done by Dan. And he is going to take ownership of that coveted P7.
Dan really struggling with that tight right-hander coming off the oval.
I mean, that BMW is a big car. So definitely going to struggle coming through there. Narawanaswamy behind him and is looking into the inside for turn 1. And is likely just going to take that position without much of a fight.
Patrick.
Oh, a little bit of a touch. 6 people into turn 1 yet again.
And Patrick losing out on those 2 positions he already gained.
Yes.
Angelo Bovino right on the bumper of Franklin Lindenberg.
And Gay Calabria drives right past Dan Fuqua.
Angelo looking for that position, tucking alongside down the straight. It looks like he might be going for Patrick too.
Yep, he had a great exit onto that back straight and is now going to go 7 cars now a part of this pack into turn 7. But Patrick does have a slowdown that he's going to have to serve. But with all the fighting going on in front of him, that could just be, you could just be staying in the pack, and he'll have to slow it anyway because the battling is slowing everybody down. I've had Narawanaswamy, that's the same thing.
Well said.
Again, we have 7 cars. Patrick Dunham is black flagged. He might not have served it in time.
He's staying on track. He did not pull into the pit lane, so I'm not sure he knows that he's gotten in trouble.
Well, we'll see if he's paying attention to the flag guy here. But that will take him most likely out of this battle. Very unfortunate.
Now, we've been so busy keeping our eyes glued to this middle pack race. Kevin Cohen has actually closed the gap back down to Justin. Less than a second between those guys. That battle's going to be heating up as well.
He was 0.8 faster on the last lap, but back to P7. We are side by side through the yeses again. But Dan, with the slowdown, got a little bit too much to the right of that bumper. We do want to keep an eye on that battle between Kevin. If they do get him within a couple tenths, we will likely head there. Actually, speaking of that, that is happening now. You have Kevin Cohen really a few tenths behind him, and Justin just had a little bit of trouble coming out of that exit. Oh, this is getting really, really spicy.
Now, I would imagine some of the traffic is playing a role here. I think Justin might be struggling a little bit with that. Kevin pulling out to the inside into T1. Lots of respect between these two. They're looking for a race. They want to make sure they survive this.
The Intimidator coming for a P1.
Ooh, and very, very close of Kevin almost tapping the bumper of Justin there.
Yeah, I wonder how Justin's tires are looking. We only got 4 minutes left in this race. This race has flown by with all the battling. Once again, we have 4 into turn 1. A couple cars touch. Nobody spins out. Once again, Kevin, Cohen, moving past. They're both moving past traffic. And it is hard to decide whether to watch the 2-man battle for P1 or the 6-man battle for P7.
They're both equally as entertaining.
Oh, man.
Checking back in with our leaders here, Kevin's about to follow Justin onto the start-finish straight. He's within that slipstream, and we've seen Kevin nail the exit just a little bit better than Justin. Will we see any action coming into T1?
You will see turn 1 is a huge passing point. But Justin very, very nice on that exit. It's going to maintain a 4/10 gap. Meanwhile, that battle for P7 continues. Unfortunately, Patrick Dunham has had to serve his penalty that will take him out of the running. But we still have 6 drivers fighting for that P7 spot. You can tell that the fighting actually is slowing down, Justin. They both did 33.4 and 33.6 respectfully on that last drive, or that last lap. So we will see whether maybe even Jeremy Melton could catch up to them.
Only 4 seconds behind and a handful of laps to go. He might sneak his nose right in there.
The other battle we have is a battle that's developed for P4 between the 2 Nicks. We have Nick Drux and Nicholas Cox are within a second of each other, and Nick is going to have to fight hard to keep Nicholas off him.
That's like a Spider-Man meme. Nick's fighting Nick. Nick's battling for this position, and we have. Thankfully, they're in different cars, and we can keep track of who's who.
Yes, and once again, the humorous nature of battling and how slow they made it. Joe Beretta has gained 13 seconds on the field behind him because of all that battling. Well, Joe Beretta is also getting very, very close to that P4 battle.
Yeah, only about a second behind.
We are on white flag, by the way. So we are on our white flag lap. We have Justin and Kevin fighting for P1. We have Nick Drux, Nicholas Fox, and Joe Beretta fighting for P4. And we still have our gaggle of drivers fighting for P7.
Leading that middle pack is Vibe, followed by Christian, then Franklin, Dan, and Angelo, Greg Calabria, and Alex Lofi is only 2.5 seconds behind those guys. If they continue to battle like this, Alex will be right in that pack as well by the end of this lap.
The battle has split up a little bit. Kevin Cohen going for a move into turn 7, but isn't able to make it. And that is going to most likely cost him a chance of winning this race.
Kevin overdriving that exit corner out of the S's just a little bit more, and that gap's down to 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, Kevin's sending it onto turn 7. Justin very, very wisely just letting him fly right past him. Not sure if that was intentional, but that was very smart driving by Justin, who is now rounding the final corner and will win our second race, a much more difficult race for him to win this time around, but he will be our double race winner today.
Catching back up with that battle for P7, we have Vibe leading that pack still. Christopher Gardner very, very close, followed by Franklin.
Oh, this is going to be very close going into the final major corner here. Vibe has maintained his position. Will anybody get the better exit?
Vibe looking very strong out of that last corner. Everybody's about separated the same. We do have a fight, almost a drag race between Dan Fuqua and Angelo, but Dan taking the better of that battle.
We now have our trademark CTD car destruction.
I see several cars all piled up in the tire barrier. That is a lot for the wrecking crew to handle at the end of this race too. Massive shout out to this whole field tonight. There was battles up and down. We didn't get to catch a lot of them, unfortunately. We were pretty glued to the closest fights. Going over our race results, once again, congratulations to Justin Mancheri for that P1 position, followed by Kevin in P2, just narrowly missing out on that competition, or that battle for P1, and Jeremy Milton in P3. That will round out our top three for our pros. Nick Drux, another win in AM for him, followed by Joe Barata and Vibhav in P3. So congrats to those podium finishers and our top 15 on the right-hand side of our screen there. What a race. I don't know that it's going to get more spicy than that, but if it does, we'll be here to cover it.
Yeah, next week we will be at the brand new Mexico City track that was just added to iRacing. That is going to be a heck of a track. There's a lot of very tight hairpins, a lot of slow braking corners, and our drivers are going to have to really navigate what is a tough track.
Absolutely. A lot of heavy braking zones, a lot of passing opportunities, and you have to nail the line there. So that will be 2 weeks in a row, I'm sure, of action-packed racing, and we're looking forward to it.
Yes, we are. All right. Well, congratulations to everybody on such an awesome set of races, and I think we will see everybody next week.
Yep. Thanks for watching along, and we'll see you guys later.
Take care, everybody.